Okay, so for this week, we've had the 2023 Hyundai Palisade Calligraphy, which is their top trim with all of the nice luxury features. This has been an especially interesting week with this car because we own the Kia equivalent, a 2022 Kia Telluride SX with the Prestige package. And so we want to take you for a drive. I have my wife and my kids along for the ride today, and we want to discuss some of the things that we've loved about the Palisade, which is a lot of things. It's been amazing. This thing is incredible, and I just think it's one of the best family haulers on the market today. So let's go for a drive. All right, so starting off in the 2023 Hyundai Palisade Calligraphy, just press the button for drive. It kind of reminds me of the Chevy Suburban that we had with the little toggle gear selectors. Those you pull on, but these you just push the button. It's kind of cool. After a week of driving this, I think we both have kind of concluded that we love this thing.
It's one of my favorite cars that we've had.
Yeah.
Alone.
Yeah, absolutely. The Kia Telluride and the Hyundai Palisade have been so well reviewed and have received so many accolades and awards since they first came out a few years ago. We haven't driven a Palisade before until this last week, and actually it's last 2 weeks now. And I think that we could both happily and confidently say that the Palisade is 100% deserving of all of the awards that it's received. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed driving it.
Yeah, so it's so smooth. I mean, just to give you an idea of the driving experience, this has the same 3.8 liter V6 that the Telluride does, and I believe it makes about 290 horsepower, so not like a ton. I always will wish for more horsepower. I've always thought it'd be cool to have a more, like a turbocharged power plant here, especially where we're at a little higher elevation here in Utah. It's not like crazy high, but a turbocharger I think would maybe add a little bit of just fun. But as it is, the power delivery here is very smooth. Mm-hmm. The transmission feels very well tuned here. The suspension just soaks up all the bumps. The closest comparison that I can make is that it reminds me of some of the minivans that we've driven. Like the Chrysler Pacifica that we had last year was so smooth, and this feels a lot like that, which brings me to one of my main points. I don't know if you want to comment on it as well, but this feels like the car to buy if you want a minivan, but you don't want a minivan.
You want a minivan that doesn't look like a minivan.
Yeah, exactly. This rides like a minivan. It's so smooth. Like the power delivery is like a minivan. It's almost as useful and practical as a minivan, but it doesn't look like one.
Well, yeah, it's funny because I was taking some of my friends for a ride about a week or so ago so that they could test out the car too. I wanted to get their thoughts about it. And one of them actually made that comment. She said that the day that they figure out how to put sliding doors on these little SUVs, that's when minivans are done. Like that's like the main thing that I would say the minivan has over this car is just ease of getting in and out for, little hands.
Yeah, these doors are pretty big. I mean, with these little kids in the back, you'll want to make sure that you have plenty of space. If you're in a tight parking lot, be mindful or just teach your kids. We've done a pretty good job. These guys do pretty awesome opening doors really slowly to make sure they're not dinging the cars next to them, but they are big and they are a little on the heavier side, which is kind of nice because you can feel that this is pretty solidly constructed and it's got some heft to it. It's just been a really enjoyable thing to drive around. Like it's just so smooth and comfortable. This would be such an awesome road trip car.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you mentioned the heft, and I want to go back to that because in case you can't tell from our surroundings, so here in Utah, we've been just pummeled with snow, and it seems like every other day we're having a snowstorm. We had a really big one yesterday. And
almost every day it seems like lately, but yeah, yesterday for sure.
But yesterday I actually needed to drive in it, and our driveway wasn't plowed. We hadn't cleared off our driveway yet, and so I had to drive over several inches of snow. And I expected this to kind of struggle getting through a few inches of snow, maybe slide around a bit. It didn't even hesitate. It was just like a rolling pin, just over the snow. And it doesn't even have snow tires on, which we are firm believers and advocates for snow tires.
Absolutely.
But I just loved how effortlessly it just kind of cut through all this snow. And then on the roads too, when the roads were slushy and wet, no slippage, nothing at all. The wheels didn't have any spinning trouble. And I will say that when we had the Toyota Sequoia a few weeks ago, unless I had that thing in 4-wheel drive, that was like struggling to go through any type of like precipitation.
Yeah, and that was with that. I think that had some like beefier all-terrain tires.
Yeah, well, the thing is made for off-roading and stuff, and this is just like your regular family hauler, but I feel like this is like a loyal family dog almost. It's like it's maybe not the fanciest thing, but it'll take good care of your family. It will protect you.
So I will also attest to it. Like, so I was driving this home from work one day, caught in another snowstorm, and I'll just second witness what Allie just said. This all-wheel drive system is incredible. And like we always put snow tires on all of our cars, but I was shocked at how well this did, even in some pretty slippery conditions. It was very confidence inspiring. So if you do not enjoy, which I don't know anybody does, but if you're kind of nervous about driving in bad weather, it's got to be a combination of this all-wheel drive system and the tires that are on here. But they do a fantastic job. Would I still recommend winter tires? I always do. We put winter tires on all of our cars.
We still have winter tires on because the winter won't end.
Yeah, it's almost April here in Utah, and we in the last 2 days have received about 8 to 10 inches of snow on our driveway. But yeah, winter tires are, if you're around that, probably worthwhile for sure. But this does a fantastic job in slippery conditions.
Yeah. The number one thing that I will praise Hyundai for this car, the first thing I noticed was climbing in and sitting in these seats felt like heaven. It's seriously.
Oh, so good.
They're so comfy. They're so comfy, so
Yeah.
cushy. And I can't find a fault with them at all. And they've got like the lumbar adjustment and everything, but I felt like I didn't even need to do anything to my seat because it was just perfect as is. And I think our kids find it very comfortable as well. Oh yes, this was a big thing. The third row is heated.
It's crazy.
I
What
know.
third row is heated?
That's such a luxury, and it's a huge selling point for me as someone who, in our Telluride, there's been several occasions when I've been in the third row because we'll be driving around our parents or something, and we give them the nicer heated seats. And I always am kind of like, here I go to the back without my heated seat because I'm pampered like that, I guess.
Right.
I know, such a first world problem. But I love that this car has a heated third row. And that was one of the first things that Finn, our son, pointed out as well. You like that it has a heated third row too, right? Yeah.
One thing I wanted to comment on, and this is just a personal preference thing. I'm not in love with some of the interior trim pieces. So the MSRP for this one's about 53 grand, 52, 53 grand, which I think is honestly a fair price. Like for the comfort and luxury and like just the room and the utility, like this is such a great all-around car. I do think that it's a worthwhile price to pay if you're okay with the styling. The styling for me is a little bit hit or miss on the exterior and on the interior. Like this kind of plastic casing that goes around the digital gauge cluster and where the infotainment screen is, which it does a nice job. I enjoy the Kia and Hyundai infotainment screens, and Genesis for that matter. I just don't love like the black. It just kind of looks like cheaper to me than a $53,000 price tag would suggest. And same thing for like this glossy black plastic with the pinstriping. It's just not my style. But That
it
said,
doesn't look bad.
It doesn't look bad.
Just, yeah, like
it's
you said,
just
it's
a personal preference thing. I also will just add a witness to the seats. They're so comfortable, like nice squishy foam. Some might like a little firmer seat. I like this a lot.
These are my favorite seats that we've had.
They remind me, yeah. They remind me, and I loved the seats in the Genesis GV70. Man, they were fantastic seats, and these remind me of those seats, which these ones I think might be even better. But Genesis, Hyundai, they're just doing great things with their seats, period, I think, right now.
And I will add another thing that I really like about it too, all the storage compartment options.
Yeah.
Especially as a mom, when you're toting around sanitizer and the wipes and the snacks and my bag and water and just everything that you need to have when you're driving around with kids. And Hyundai has this really great center console here with a lot of space for your drinks, for anything else that you're carrying around. And then one of my favorite things too is underneath, they make really good use of that space with this huge storage compartment where it'd be really easy to put even a big handbag underneath there, which I love because I don't love it when there's nowhere to put my bag and I have to put it on the seat, and then what happens when we have to hit the brakes really hard, everything goes flying.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a thoughtful inclusion.
With the center console, there's one thing too, just to be aware of. Again, it's more of a personal preference thing. It's not that big of a deal, but so to increase the fan speed, for example, there's a lot of buttons in here, which I'm really grateful for. I just appreciate buttons. Like in our 4Runner that we had, that was one of my main selling points, is it just had big, easy buttons to push. But for the fan speed, strangely, it's just the touch screen, and so I can't really touch it without looking down at it.
Yeah, that is one thing that.
I'm nitpicking, but it's a little distracting, to look down and be like, okay, where's the fan? Then I've got to get my finger on the exact spot. And so maybe not the best. I would have appreciated maybe just, 2 more buttons for the fan speed, and it would be amazing. One other thing too, again, personal preference, but in the back for the third row, a lot of vehicles will just have a pull strap that you can just pull and it will fold the third row down easy. This one has buttons, so they're electronic, they're motorized, which is pretty cool. Some people might really like that. In our experience, and this holds true with this Palisade, they're a little slow. they're just a little slow. I'd prefer just to pull a strap and let it fall down. But it's cool that, it's cool to have the button. It's a nice luxury feature for sure. And as far as room goes, I mean, I think these kids have about the same space as they do, in some of the other competitors. And the third row is amazing. I mean, in the Hyundai Palisade and in the Kia Telluride, one of the big selling points, I think, is the use of interior space. It's packaged so well in here.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it. Truly, it is like a minivan inside, and maybe even better than some of the minivans we've been in that third row. You legitimately can fit 2 adults back there and have them be comfortable. And that's without moving the second row seats very much. I mean, if the second row kids are okay, or whoever's there are okay to move forward even 2, 3, 4 inches, you'll be totally comfortable in the third row for a long period. I'm not
Especially
talking
with those heated seats.
Yeah, and I'm not talking even for a short distance. I'm saying for a while,
right.
You'll be very comfortable.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think when you add up all of the things that we liked versus all the things that we were kind of critiquing, the stuff that we didn't like is inconsequential stuff that wouldn't be deal breakers to me if I was in the market for a car. And I just think when you look at all of the good that this car has at its price tag, it's a really great option.
Absolutely. I think this is hands down one of the best family haulers you can buy on the market today. And yeah, I'm nitpicking. I don't think any of these things are deal breakers. There's absolutely a reason that this and the Kia Telluride are top sellers. And I think there's absolutely good reason that this car is still selling so hot, and for for over MSRP, and people are waiting and ordering because it's a fantastic deal. Yeah, it's not cheap. I mean, still, 53 grand's a lot to pay for a car, but for what you get, I love it. And I don't think any of these things that we've mentioned are deal breakers for this car. Like, it's one of the best out there for a family. You won't regret it. If you're okay with the styling, and that's like really what it comes down to for me.
Yeah.
If you're okay with the styling, then go order one. You won't regret it.
Right. And I mean, this definitely, of all the cars that we've tested out, there are some that we've liked enough to actually go out and buy, which the 4Runner was one of them.
Yeah, 4Runner. Yeah, absolutely.
I would put this one on the list. This one would be on the potential buy list for sure.
So in conclusion, we love this thing and wholeheartedly endorse it. We're grateful for Hyundai for sending it out to us. And honestly, I kind of hope we get to spend more time with one again sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, thanks guys for watching. We'll talk to you later.